Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. I had a sub requested I do a video on the 1984 draft. And he really didn't say particularly what about it and what I should present and if it was the best, if I'm not mistaken. And look, it wouldn't be complete unless I matched it up against the 2003 NBA draft. As some people say, these are the greatest drafts in NBA history. Some people say, what was it, the 96 draft, was it? With Kobe coming out? Even though, I don't think, was Kobe a lottery pick? Let me see, 1996, right? 1996 NBA draft. I hate when all this stupid stuff pop up on the screen. Let me look at this real quick before we get into. Oh yeah, Allen Iverson. Let me see who was picked in order because they don't. Yeah, Allen Iverson, Marcus Camby, number 2. Abdul Raif. Goodness. Starberry, Ray Allen 5th, Antoine Walker 6th. Kobe Bryant 13th. Could you imagine? Goodness, I bet some of these teams are kicking themselves in the butt. Like the Mavs could have had Kobe, the Pacers could have had Kobe, Golden State could have had Kobe, and they had, where's he at? They had Steve Nash at 15. Oh man, it was pretty deep. I mean, I think if they knew Kobe was going to be that player that he turned out to be, I think it would, I don't know. I think it would be up here with the 2003 draft, but Kobe, he was just too far down at 13. And we try to tell you LeBron fans, it was just tougher back then. You wasn't coming out of high school just getting off like that, bro. I mean, I can tell you LeBron really didn't have no more skills coming into the NBA than Kobe Bryant. He really didn't. He really didn't. And if LeBron would have played that power forward position or small forward position, I think he would have been on the bench. You got to remember, Scottie Pippen rode the bench the whole damn year in his rookie season. He had good handles, and that's the thing they liked about him. He was unique because he had pretty good handles, but he wasn't a good shooter. He wasn't a good shooter. So it's the same thing with LeBron came into the league. He had good handles. He wasn't a good shooter. The rules was kind of different when he came in too. Nobody's just going to let you barrel down the hole. He wasn't really, that big at the time as far as weight. So we'll just stick with this, right? And I got to give shouts out to Fadeaway Sports. He put these images together. So I don't want to take his clout or anything like that. Or their clout. I don't know if it's a him. So yeah, usually I do my own images, but these are like spot on. I really don't care about the points or nothing like that. That's irrelevant. These guys play in different eras under different rules, so it's hard to gauge the points. And just like old Angry Hoops fan always says, he don't like to have a GOAT debate because the rules keep changing for everybody. So, I mean, he could be right on that. I can have a GOAT debate. I don't put them against each other. I look at what they did in their era, okay? As far as championships, finals MVPs, statistical titles, and defensive player of the year. And that's how I do it. What you did in your era. And then I pull that guy out. Who was ever great in that era, I pull him out. And then we can do it like that. Yeah, let's don't go down that rabbit hole. We're not here for that, but I would look at this. The 2003 draft class is on the top. 84 is on the bottom. Look, I'm only going to go with the top 5 guys. The rest of these guys on the bottom of the list in that draft, the other 5, whatever. Decent role players at times. But when you look at the 2003, you got LeBron, you got Melo, you have Wade, and you have Bosh. The 84, you have Jordan, Elijah One, Charles Barkley, John Stockton. I don't know why they got Otis Thorpe at the top, but let's go with Alvin Robertson as a number 5. To me, off top, it really, and we just talked about this, it really exposes that the 2003 draft was weaker than the 84 draft. And maybe some other drafts too. Okay? Just because LeBron was selected number 1. And when we talk about Carmelo Anthony, he came into the league, he had just won a championship. He just didn't win a championship. He was like the MVP of the tournament. The man was balling out of control in that 1 year of college. But guess what? Some people, oh man, that was only 1 year. The man played college players. Let me tell you one more time. When you play in college, let me rewind it back. Let's go forward. When you play in the NBA, right, you're playing the best of college players, right? When you play in college, you're playing the best of high school players. When you play in high school, who are you playing the best of? People who just tried out for the team, right? So I'm not trying to be mean, but you really make your name in college. You got Dwayne Wade. He was a beast in college, right? I don't remember Marquette name ever being called until Dwayne Wade. Maybe I'm wrong. You got Chris Bosh. Did he come from Georgia Tech, maybe? Not sure. He was great too. So, look, to me, it just exposes it because LeBron came into the league, and yes, he was great, but I wouldn't say he was great. He was decent. He wasn't an all-star. He didn't make the playoffs. Shot 41% from the field. Minus 144 for the season. Got in Olympic Games that year. And he was on the roster. He didn't even get to play on the floor, hardly. That's how bad he was. The rest of these guys played in that Olympic Games too, except for David West, and they got blown off the floor by Argentinian plumbers. Ouch. Ouch. No melanated Argentinians to be found. No athletic Argentinians to be found. So, the 84 draft class of Micheal Jordan, or the 84 Jordan Olympic team, is not losing to no Argentinians. Sorry, son. It's not going to happen. This same team spanked Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Kevin McHale, all these dudes in the NBA already. I think James Worthy was on one of them teams. Magic Johnson. In 11 exhibition games, smoked them. Smoked them. Smoked them. Smoked them. You know how they're playing exhibition games now in the Olympics? That's how they was doing back then. But they had to play the best of the NBA players at the time. They smoked them. 11 exhibition games, and they smoked them 11 times. Micheal Jordan, Patrick Ewing, I think was Vern Fleming on the team. I think was Alvin Robertson was on that team. If I'm not mistaken, Chris Mullin. Bro. So to me, again, it just exposes that draft already. Not that it wasn't a good draft, it just exposes it. Ain't no number 1 guy gonna be. You ain't gonna get a high schooler gonna be a number 1 guy in the 80s draft. And you can see not even in the 90s draft. If I'm not mistaken, unless it was late 90s, I don't know. It's a joke. It's a complete joke because they played against nobody in high school. You were playing against the best of nobody. Now, fortunately, LeBron did become great. Kevin Garnett became great. But LeBron had a lot of hiccups because he never developed his overall game en route to playing against, the best of the best high school players in college. Micheal Jordan, Hakeem, Charles Barkley, John Stockton, and like I said, Alvin Robertson. 84 draft. Let's look at this. Micheal Jordan, the greatest player of all time, top 5 at his position. Hakeem, maybe the greatest skilled center of all time, top 5 at his position. Charles Barkley, top 5 at his position. John Stockton, top 5 at his position. And Alvin Robertson, not top 5 at his position. Maybe you might be able to put him top 5 defender of all time. Maybe. LeBron, top 5 at his position. Melo, no. Wade, yes. Chris Bosh, no. And David West, no. We talk about two-way players. Micheal Jordan, yes. LeBron, no, he's just not. He's just not. Hakeem, yes. Carmelo Anthony, no. Charles Barkley, no. Dwayne Wade, yes. John Stockton, I wouldn't consider him a two-way player. No. Chris Bosh, no. David West, no. And Alvin Robertson, no. Not a two-way player. So, great defenders. I just can't give it to LeBron. Melo, no. Dwayne Wade, yes. Chris Bosh, no. David West, no. Jordan, yes. Hakeem, yes. Charles Barkley, no. John Stockton, yes. And Alvin Robertson, yes. Now, when you look at these guys, top 5, could you imagine? These guys going against each other, right? In a 5-on-5. You got Micheal Jordan, Hakeem, Charles Barkley, and you got John Stockton running the point. This would be a nightmare, folks. This would be a nightmare for these guys. It just would. And then you had Alvin Robertson, to me, one of the greatest defenders. I think this guy got robbed. I don't know if he's still alive. Put this man in the Hall of Fame. 4-time NBA All-Star, one-time All-NBA, Defensive Player of the Year. Probably got robbed a couple times. 2-time Defensive First Team. 4-time Defensive Second Team Most Improved Player. 3-time Steals Leader. And for whatever it's worth, he won the gold medal with Micheal Jordan in 84. In 84. Let me see here. So, Micheal Jordan in 1990 loses for the 3rd straight time to the Detroit Pistons. And what does he do? What does he do? He looks at his team and he says, even though I had the best record 2 years in a row and won the MVP, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here and go play with Hakeem and Charles Barkley. And I'm going to get some second-tier guys like Kevin Willis, Sam Perkins, Jerome Kersey, Alvin Robertson, and Vern Fleming to come off the bench or start on my roster. Jordan had already been to the championship game and melted down like 4 seasons before that. Melts down, in the 90 and 91 playoffs with the number 1 overall seed. Looks at Pippen, looks at Grant, looks at Will Perdue, looks at Bill Cartwright, looks at Paxson, and he says, I don't have any help. So he then goes to Houston, plays with Hakeem and Barkley. And taunts the entire NBA. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. Goes into the championship game. Can't even get the number 1 seed in the NBA, which he already had in back-to-back seasons with a bunch of nobodies. Oh, let's not forget the year before when he had the number 1 seed, he lost, 2 years in a row with the number 1 seed, he lost to number 3 seed and a number 4 seed. So again, he gets to the championship game, can't even get the number 1 seed in the East, let alone the number 1 overall seed in the playoffs, and melts down like ice. Melts down like ice. Let's say against the Pistons. What would Micheal Jordan's legacy be after that? It doesn't matter what happened going forward if he won 4 championships and won 2 more MVPs. What would his legacy be? I'm just asking for a friend. Somebody emailed me and wanted to know. That ain't what Micheal Jordan did. Micheal Jordan lost in 90, went back and sharpened his blade. Got back on the court with his team, gave it to him. We took these guys to Game 7. We was this close. We can beat these guys. Not only did they beat them, they blew them out in the Eastern Conference Finals, a team that was looking to three-peat. Not only three-peat, but became a dynasty on Micheal Jordan. Magic Johnson just won the champion. It was already a dynasty in the early 90s. Early 80s. They had already won 3 to cement their legacy. In the late 80s, they already won 2 again. 87, 88, and was back in the finals in 91, looking to what? Have another dynasty. 3 and 5 years. And they was looking to do that on Micheal Jordan's head. And without Kareem. If Magic would have won that, he would maybe be top 3 of all time. No discussion about it. But he was back in the finals with Byron Scott, James Worthy, himself, and was it someone else? I forget, maybe. I think it was AC Green. 4 guys who had already been through the finals, already won championships, a slew of accolades. So this is what Micheal Jordan was against. He stopped 2 dynasties from happening on his head. Imagine having that kind of burden on you. But Micheal Jordan did not run. This is what LeBron did. He ran like a coward because he did melt down in games 4, 5, and 6 against Boston in 2010, having the number 1 overall seed. He did melt down in games 6 against Orlando and a couple other games in that series. And then he went and got smoked by the Mavs with his draft class of guys. He wanted to beat his opponents. His competition. You got to remember who his competition was. It's the guys maybe that come in a year before you, the same year or a year after in the draft. Not guys that was already there for like 5 years, 10 years, who already have loaded teams, and you're coming in there with nobody. So Magic, Kareem, Bird really wasn't his competition. Isaiah came in 81 and was getting spanked all over the place in the 80s. By who? Larry Bird and the Celtics, who were loaded. They don't tell that story about Isaiah Thomas. So most of these guys, we never got to see their full potential in the 2003 draft class. The Bosh, the Wades, and now it's really AD. LeBron has, hey, these guys took fame, became cowards, and all that stuff, and took this money over being leaders, competitors, and real winners to go play with LeBron and really destroy their careers as far as their full peak potential. We didn't really see that with Bosh. We didn't see that with Wade. We seen flashes of it. I don't think we seen his full peak potential. He wasted 4 years of his career. What would you call it? I don't know what you would call it, but he gave away 4 years of his career just to stand around and see what LeBron's going to do, instead of him being a man like he was when the team was his. And Bosh, even though he had more all-star appearances than Scottie Pippen, we really never got to see his full potential. I think we've seen LeBron's full potential. A choke artist. He continued that through his entire career. He needed to play with all these other teams' number one franchise players. We saw all these guys: Micheal Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, John Stockton, even Alvin Robertson. We saw their full potential because they wasn't building super teams. Yes, Hakeem was on a super team, but we already saw his full peak potential through the 80s, the mid-90s. We already seen it. Hakeem did his thing when he didn't have nobody. LeBron never had no run like Hakeem. Never. Not even close. And Charles Barkley was pretty much over when he went play with Hakeem. So the 84 draft class is just more respectable. Better players, fundamentally, skill-wise. They weren't cowards. And they played in a tougher league. So you guys tell me what you think. Yeah, that would be scary if all 5 of these guys played together from the 84 draft. It would be a cheat code times 6.